What's up, guys? It's Gardy B with the Jenkins Jonez show. As always, I'm here with my good internet buddies, Dragonfly Jones, a.k.a. Tyler.
What's up, guys?
With Jethro Jenkins, a.k.a. John.
What's up, bubbas? And if you fuck with us, you want to see more of our content, please jump on YouTube and subscribe to our channel.
Good to have you on, man. So spill the tea, sis. What's some insider information
Spill the tea. It is
that you
steamy.
might have that we are not privy to? The floor is yours.
Spill the tea, sis.
I mean, I think we all knew that Kyrie was in a fight with management, right? I mean, he is the ultimate believer in the entertainer controlling his or her own destiny, right? He rocks with like Naomi Osaka, all of that kind of do your own thing, fuck the agency. And there was definitely a play by Joe Tsai, who's a master negotiator, Alibaba, the Amazon of China, all this, and Sean Marks, who basically sucked up to KD and Kyrie since they got there, since Kyrie handed them Kevin Durant on a silver platter, right? They're going to suck up to Kyrie, let him do what he wants. But I honestly think that the vaccine stuff just pissed off Tsai for long enough, had to, lobby for him with the mayor, have him in, have him out. And by the time that Kyrie's contract negotiations came up, they were ready to play hardball. They were ready to take some of the power back. And I think KD, in being one of the ultimate proprietors of player empowerment, drew a hard line himself, right? Y'all don't manage me. Y'all don't tell Kyrie Irving what to do. He is a god of this game. You give him the max money because he is a superstar, Hall of Famer, bar none. And when you start messing with that, you start playing with fire. And honestly, I just thought it was a little bit of smoke, not fire. And this is now a raging, burn the house down NBA dumpster fire to the nth degree. And it's fun, man. It's going to be fun.
He loves the chaos.
Dog, I'm going to tell you, I didn't think KD was bluffing for a second when he said that. KD is not a dude who says shit just to hear himself talk, bro. If he says something, he means it. You know what I mean? So as soon as he said, get shit right with Kyrie or I'm exploring my options, I thought it was time for the Nets to throw all that hardball shit out the window. It was time to take all their base out their voice after that point, right? It was time to go from Kyrie, we're not standing for this anymore, to, hey, man, we talked to Kyrie, and we're going to get this done. You want to come to the office? I really think that's what they misstepped here. They thought KD was a dude who was, just talking to hear himself talking. He's not that guy at all, bro. That's why his Twitter's so fire. Whenever he talks, he has something to say. And he meant every word of this shit as we see.
That's what's up. I just thought his public posturing to it was more like, well, I haven't been talking to the team for weeks because I've been on vacation, which he likes to do. Or I haven't, he hasn't been recruiting players on the side because he doesn't want to fuck with tampering rules. But it was real. He was despondent. And, KD has done this seismic shift thing, obviously, many times. And I think he has no problem with rocking the entire league. And this is going to be the biggest trade in NBA history coming up. I mean, the fact that he's signed for 4 years. And you know what I think is underrated in this guy's is not just KD's obviously like being able to pull that lever of ultimate power, just being an all-timer, but Kyrie and loyalty playing a big role there, in that KD was willing to say, if you're not going to max out Kyrie, you don't respect players, I'm not going to stay with this franchise. But at the same time, Kyrie's trying to get back to LeBron James, right? I mean, we're not talking about that enough, that like we may be about to see that ultimate reunion. And so Kyrie basically is bailing on his one buddy, who's maybe like the second best player in the league, all-timer, for LeBron. Right? I was just like, we're kind of sleeping on that Kyrie's about to go play with LeBron again. I mean, he's forcing his way to the Lakers. It seems like an inevitability at this point. Nobody else wants him. Westbrook's a nice, got to get asses and seats in Brooklyn. So it's like Kyrie was playing behind the scenes and knew that at the same time that KD's maybe, I don't know, knows that DeAndre Ayton could do a sign and trade or something. They're getting what they want. But Kyrie, I think, is ultimately the catalyst for a lot of this erratic change. Shocker.
They're saying that KD and Kyrie want to play with each other, and there was a chance that they'd both go to the Lakers.
I don't think it sounds like Rob Pelinka won't give up AD, which I think is what that would take for the Nets. I would love it if we could get those guys to the fucking Lakers, obviously. But
yeah, I mean, you got to be careful with a lot of the smoke screens here, right? Like, I love Brian Windhorst, but he's got Rich Paul in his ear, and Rich Paul might be trying to orchestrate something where he can get all of his guys together without having to sell out AD. I mean, I'm sure that's LeBron's dream, right? I mean, we talked about.
Sell them out. 24 games last year. Sell them out.
I mean, to what extent is LeBron pulling a lot of strings here, right? I mean, we got to realize that he can send Kyrie into battle to say, we'll get the super team. We'll get you and AD and the band back together. But I think KD to the Lakers is a stretch. I mean, the asset's really there. I'm sure Sean Marks would like to pull off some 4-team trade to get, 11 draft picks and become the new Oklahoma City Thunder. But it's a long fall from where I started with this franchise that the Nets are going to be back into super oblivion. Man, it's going to be the ultimate implosion. I wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of Simmons too. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how much they really care about him, because if they get him off the books, then it opens up, some trade flexibility for the Adebayos of the world, Karl Towns, De'Aaron Fox, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, guys like that. They're stuck in a tough spot right now. It'll be interesting to see how much KD just says, no, I don't want to play at this place. No, I don't want to play at this place. Oh, you like Brandon Ingram? Well, I don't like New Orleans. So, I don't think he has any bones about being that guy. I just saw James Harden do it, right in front of his face.
I mean, like, how much say-so do the players have in these situations? I mean, I don't want to play here. We don't give a fuck. We're going to get this guy for you from you going there. Good luck. That's what it would seem like when it comes to business. He doesn't have any stipulations that prevent him from going to certain cities. So how does it work in these situations?
I mean, Kevin Durant has led the way of player empowerment. I think LeBron obviously set the precedent, but that was really a free agency thing. And I think KD has been able to shamelessly, obviously, go to Golden State, shamelessly give up on them. And I just don't think that the superstar, the super duper star, gives a shit about what his contract says or what any GM says. And I think this move by KD, this flex, seems from the Kyrie loyalty aspect to be as much about players declaring their power. Kevin Durant saying, GMs and owners got nothing on me. And they are never going to take the power back. This is like player empowerment, 3.0, 4.0. And he's setting a standard that, it's not just James Harden whining his way and, widening his waistband way toward Philadelphia. I think KD got pretty sick of him. But it's like, if you're in the mood to disrupt the entire NBA, you can do that. And it doesn't matter about contracts, and it doesn't matter about what you're leaving in your trail. I don't think KD feels any loyalty to management anywhere to leave them in a good space.
Well, and I think like Tyler hit it on the head, and you just hit it on the head with the player empowerment. The thing here with Kyrie and KD is I think everyone understands those guys would sit the entire year. If they don't go, they'll sit the entire year. They don't give a fuck. I don't know
if KD can go an entire year without hooping. He's a pure hooper. He wants to win.
But if they don't move him, he's not playing for the. You know what I mean? Like to your point on the player empowerment, like he and Bron have understood, and Kyrie as well. We hold the cards because it's our body. Like we are your whole product. We talked about it in the last pod, but the Nets ticket sales people are now selling courtside seats to fucking Ben Simmons. Like that's not what they were selling. Those tickets.
A Kardashian somewhere will buy those tickets.
I look at it like this. I think the Nets have to send KD where he wants to go, because at first they didn't want to fold to Kyrie. Now they're going to have to fold to KD, because I think that if you send Kevin fucking Durant to Sacramento or some shit, what does that do for how are future free agents going to look at you, right? Like they're going to look at you like, okay, if shit goes south with us, they are not going to honor my wishes at all about where I want to go if I want to split town. So I think that they are backed into a corner now. Like I said, they didn't want to fold to Kyrie, but they're going to have to fold to KD.
Yeah, facts. And if they have to settle for Scotty Barnes and Siakam, that's going to have to be like a 3 or 4 way. Kevin Durant did not flex this muscle to get shipped to fucking Canada.
Right.
And then he wouldn't even buy a house if he went to Sacramento. Like he would never leave Brooklyn. He wouldn't even show up in the fucking city. So you know what I mean? Like,
right. So here's my question, and I'm asking as basketball fans, because I think all four of us are people who prefer human beings to billion-dollar corporations. I think all four of us see the benefit of the player empowerment era, and I've been an open cheering for that for basically the entire time this stuff's been going on, even with some of the crazier stuff that's happened, as you mentioned with James Harden. My question is, as basketball fans, everyone's talking about this is going to snap back really hard in the next CBA, that the ownership of the league is just like not seeing this as a tenable situation. I understand their point at this point. It's not tenable. But as fans of basketball, for Matt and for John and for Tyler, like, do you like this aspect of free agency? Do you like the, hey, contracts don't mean anything, guys can force whatever they want? Like, are you enjoying it? Or do you see maybe the ownership point that it's like, hey, if you got 4 years on a contract, maybe we could expect you to play one of those years. You know, where do you come down on it as a fan?
I thoroughly enjoy it. It ain't my motherfucking money. Like we ain't no basketball going on right now. This shit is exciting. This is all we got. I love it. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I mean, the content is crazy over the last 3 weeks. The season's been over for 3 weeks, but we still talking about this shit. And I don't give a fuck about a corporation. You know what I mean? What type of nigga I look like? You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, I want the players to do what they want to do. Good for them.
Yeah, and as a long-suffering Knicks fan who headed into Nets world, you know, it just was an extension of what I learned at Bleacher Report. This is a players' league, and that's a good thing. This is an Instagram world, and that's a good thing. You can love Steph Curry and Kevin Durant at the same time, and you can love this drama and hate them the next minute. I just think what's interesting is that ownership claims to kind of get that, right? Like Joe Tsai was saying last year, that, you know, I'm just reading from my book. They're literally megastars, very, very powerful. So you can't treat your players as employees anymore. They're your partners in the business, which is what I think Kyrie Irving signed up for, right? He's like, okay, here is a jersey we can control. Here's a franchise we can run. And he's consistently said that, right? It's like, He said it when like we need some pieces, you know, when everybody's worried he's going to like throw the Joe Harrises of the world under the bus when he got there. And as recently as him just getting swept after not playing that well, he's like, yep, looking forward to managing the franchise in the offseason with the owner and the longtime GM. But I don't think that this owner in particular, who will be maligned by, you know, Nets fans the world over for years, I think that partners in business thing he threw out the window and started treating Kyrie like an employee once Kyrie was acting like a bad one.
Everyone likes the players are our partners when they're reaping. And when they are sewing, it's not so fun.
Yeah, I think it goes back to this. You know, I think lots of people forget that KD and Kyrie were Nets before Joe Tsai was. Like Joe Tsai came on board and bought the Nets months after they came on board. And I think a lot of owners, damn near all of them, I'd say, they do not get into sports ownership to foster healthy employee relations. They get in there to impress other rich dudes. And Joe Tsai felt like a laughingstock around the other rich dudes, and I felt like he had to, you know, get some, you know, get his reputation back and play hardball with Kyrie, and now it's going to cost them everything. It looks like.
And these GMs, honestly, man, will do anything to save their asses, anything to save their jobs. And if that means one moment you got to be at KD's doorstep, and the next moment you got to be doing exactly what your billionaire boss tells you to do because he's upset with the other guy. They'll do anything to save their asses. And I think now Sean Marks has to reinvent this franchise again. And it's just sad because like when Tsai bought this thing for whatever, $3.5 billion, including Barclays Center, he thought that they were going to be the next Warriors, that they were going to be this international franchise that would sweep in. And when Daryl Morey sent that stupid perfectly fine tweet that screwed over the Rockets as like this Chinese empire, I think he thought that they were going to be these ambassadors to the world for years and years and years. And I mean, the Nets were supposed to win like a three-peat. And here we've just had disaster after disaster. And I'm not sure you can blame the state of the world over the last 3 years. I'm not sure you can keep blaming COVID or injuries or what have you. I just think the championship mentality, that elusive accountability and culture over the last 3 years has had to do with being flexible. And the Nets were not flexible enough.
And those stipulations were gone from like the last 2 years that prevented Kyrie from playing. You know what I mean? Like he could play now. So it's just really weird that they want to press that. And talking to like Mike's original question, like You know, we saw what happened with Blake Griffin, where they signed the man and sent his ass to Detroit right after that. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, so, dog, like KD doing this, do this, KD. Use your power. You are a God-tier player. Act like a god. You know what I mean?
I believe that. And I don't think he owes anybody anything. You know, when I was reporting my book, I remember talking to just randomly Gordon Hayward was sitting around before a game and he was hurt. And I was asking about player empowerment, which is kind of the theme of my book. And if he'd ever talked to, and then I just told him what the book was about. And I was doing it kind of through the nets. He's like, oh yeah, when I was a free agent, KD called me up, or I texted with him, and he's just like, you don't owe anybody anything. Do what you want. You know, because he felt bad leaving Salt Lake City. Like, players hate playing in Salt Lake City. Like, hate those Razors
Understandably
fans.
so.
Yeah.
Even the white guys hate playing in Salt Lake City.
Even the Haywards of the world. That's interesting.
But I thought that was an interesting philosophy that KD would spread that gospel around the league, that you don't owe anybody anything. And, you know, he got hated on for going to Golden State. I mean, like, what if somebody does pull off some crazy super team trade to the Lakers or the Suns? Like, yeah, hell yeah, he's ring chasing. He's a winner. That's cool. He's allowed to do that.
What's interesting about the Warriors thing, too, is like how much money KD made going to Silicon Valley. He's a fucking billionaire now, or a future billionaire. You know what I mean? So whatever the hate is, you know what I mean? He's Scrooge McDuck, all right? He'll be all right. You know what I mean? Blowing coins out his bill. You feel what I'm saying?
Well, that's what would be curious to me. And Matt, you obviously, you know more about his mindset than we do. But if you look at the moves he's so far made that he controlled, obviously he had no say in the Sonics moving to to fucking Oklahoma.
Right.
But he chose to go to the Bay and New York. And as a guy who, for as obsessed with basketball as he is, he's a really savvy business guy outside of basketball. And he's chosen previously with his last two moves to go to places there where he can maximize that, where there's a lot of non-basketball business stuff going on. I was kind of surprised to see him talking about Phoenix as sort of the top destination, just because as I get maybe a snobbish Californian, I just don't see Arizona the way that I see San Francisco, Oakland, and New York.
But I think KD's enterprise is kind of on autopilot. You know, he's there. He's as involved as he needs to be. He sits in a meeting and signs his name. I think, you know, whatever you think of Rich Kleiman, he's certainly gotten rich off of this situation. And I think KD, above all, above any deal, above any whatever boardroom content, like podcast, which is also kind of propaganda for him, is happy to just go to play with Monty Williams, who he liked, you know, he's played with before, loves hooping, play with Chris Paul, get a ring. I mean, it's that fundamental for this dude. I don't think he's aware of the seismic changes he enacts, but he does it for himself. I think he does. He like, I'm not sure Kevin Durant is going to be out here preaching, you know, we need to take the power back. Like Kyrie's having these cryptic Instagram posts with the infinity emoji. Like, Kyrie is literally like a walking version of that new emoji that's like the smiley face that like melts into the ground.
Them shrooms be shrooming.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be microdosing his way through .com arena for at least a year.
As long as that jumper falling, I'm cool with it. You feel me?